Story Corner, presented by Jennifer. Thoroughbred. Book 1, A Horse Called Wonder. Chapter 12. After Ashleigh had calmed Wonder down, she rushed off in search of Charlie. She had to do something to save Wonder, and at the moment, Charlie seemed to be the only one who could, or would, help. She found him in the training stables, passing the time of day with the grooms. This time, Ashleigh didn't wait for him to finish his conversation. She ran inside and waved frantically until Charlie saw her and walked over. "I can tell on your face that something's up." Ashleigh quickly told him of how she confronted Mr. Townsend. Charlie gave a deep laugh. "You got guts, young lady, I'll tell you that. You could have your head chewed off for interfering." "But they were going to sell Wonder." I know. Charlie pushed his hat further back on his head. "I suppose you would know if I've got any advice. You want to know if I got any advice." "Do you?" "You can't make the filly grow any faster than nature intended. But I know a couple of things that might help. We can maybe improve on her feed. Add a little more grain concentrate. Not too much, though. Some breeders put yearlings on straight concentrates with no hay to fatten them up for auction. They'll grow faster, all right. But all that fast growing isn't always good for the animal. It can lead to bone and joint disease. And most of it turns to fat anyway, not muscle." It bothered her, Charlie, that I hadn't been able to take care of her. April says she's not eating well, and I can see the difference. The old man considered. "Your spending time with her is between you and your folks, not me." "I know," Ashleigh groaned. "I've got to talk to my parents. It's so much more important now. But is there anything else you can think of to make her look good?" "Well, I think I was going to suggest what I was going to suggest is an exercise program, especially this time of year when the weather's too bad for the horses to be on the paddock too much. They lose some of their fitness. What'll impress Townsend the most is her fitness. A well-muscled chest and hindquarters. A nice and healthy look to her. I want you to walk her every day. Long walks, not a couple of turns around the paddock. Take her up over the crest of the hill there and gradually build up the distance. You don't want to tire the filly. That'll do more harm than good. Just keep her real fit. Of course, that means you're going to have to go traipsing through the snow and mud. But I don't know if my parents will let me. Ashleigh was confounded. I've got to finish my homework in the afternoon, and it gets dark so early now. Charlie pulled off his hat and toyed with it for a minute and put it back on his head. Well, let's go over and talk with your father about the diet anyway. He scowled. You been getting your grades up? Yes, but I only got a C in math on my last report card. My parents said I have to get a C+ before I can take care of Wonder again. Math hard, is it? Real hard, but I've been trying. You know how much I want to be out in the stables and take care of Wonder. Charlie thought for a minute. You tell your father what you just told me, and I'll back you up. They found Ashleigh's father in one of the stalls, looking over a mare who pulled a tendon. He smiled when he saw his daughter. I heard you had a talk with Mr. Townsend. Ashleigh flushed. She should have known how quickly the news would spread around the farm. But to Ashleigh's amazement, her father wasn't angry at what she'd done. In fact, he almost seemed proud of her that she fought for the filly. He listened to what Charlie had to say about the diet and nodded. A small increase in the feed ration shouldn't hurt her, he agreed. I'll mark her chart. But, Dad, there's something even more important. Ashleigh hesitated nervously, looking down at her feet, then up at her father. Charlie thinks it would be a good idea to give Wonder lots of exercise. And Wonder hasn't been eating the way she should. April told me that she thinks Wonder misses me. And I miss her. I really think she'd be better if we could just be together again. Do you think, just for next month, that I could take her out for walks first, then do my homework? I'll show it to you every night so you know I've got it done. He frowned. Somehow I expected that question. I'll have to talk it over with your mother. I'll let you know. Her parents didn't give her their decision until the dishes were cleaned up and Caroline and Rory had gone to the living room to watch television. Your father told me about what happened this afternoon, her mother said. I know how you feel about Wonder being sent to auction, but I'm concerned about school too. You put all your concentration and energy into that horse, and I don't want a repeat of what happened before. But Wonder's getting punished as much as I am, Ashleigh cried. She's not eating. She just hangs around her stall moping. She doesn't understand why I don't take care of her anymore. Why should she be sent off to auction just because I'm not there? And another owner won't understand. They won't know what's wrong. Hold on, Ashleigh, her father said. We haven't said you can't do it. You haven't? I've noticed the change in the filly too. And we've also noticed that you've been working hard with your homework. We set the C+ limit because we suspected you wouldn't learn the lesson unless the punishment was pretty tough. Her mother reached over and took Ashleigh's hand. We're horse people. I understand how important keeping Wonder on the farm is to you. I would have felt exactly the same when I was your age. And Wonder is special, isn't she? She's tried so hard. None of us want her to be sold. But in a situation like we're in right now, where we don't own the farm and don't have the final say, she might be sold. We wanted you to try to break away from the fillies so you wouldn't be hurt. How could I do that? Ashleigh cried. We've decided you can work with her this month, but no slacking on your homework. Off with your schoolwork. We still want to see your homework every night, and we expect you to do a good job. Ashleigh had been so sure their answer would be no that the first words didn't sink in. Slowly, they did. She stared at both her parents. Then her face lit up. Thank you so much. But again, her father had a word of warning. Just remember, there are no guarantees, Ashleigh. You can work your heart out, but you can't make Wonder grow faster than she's intended. Townsend may decide to let her go. I know, Dad, but I've got to try. And that attitude is why we decided to let you do this. Ashleigh had never worked so hard in her life. Every morning before school, she fed and groomed Wonder and mucked out her stall. Right after school, except when it was snowing or pouring down rain, she took Wonder out. She dressed herself in boots and a warm parka, and Wonder in a blanket against the chill. The two of them slogged up the trails around the paddocks. Most days, the going was pretty tough. Slush, snow, frozen ground, or mud. Wonder loved being out of the barn, but she didn't like the snow or the slush at first. She'd never seen this white stuff before, and wasn't eager to go trudging through it. This is important, Wonder, Ashleigh coaxed. You don't know how important. You don't want Mr. Townsend to sell you, do you? We'd never see each other again, and who knows how they treat you. They sure wouldn't love you the way I do. If we're going to stay together, you have to build up every muscle and impress Mr. Townsend. The filly stared at Ashleigh with big eyes. Her ears were pricked forward, and she seemed to understand the compelling tone in Ashleigh's voice. She whickered softly and touched her nose to Ashleigh's shoulder, then followed her out into the snow without protest. It was only the ice that Ashleigh was afraid of. She couldn't risk the filly slipping or falling, and she carefully chose ground the ground where they walked. Day after day they trudged uphill and down, covering first 1 mile, then 2, then 3. Often they returned to the dark barn, wet and dirty and cold, and Ashleigh spent an extra hour cleaning Wonder, making sure she was dry and warm before she went into her stall for the night. But now that Ashleigh was caring for her again, Wonder started eating, and she no longer sulked in her stall. April ran up to Ashleigh one afternoon, grinning. She licked her feed bucket clean, April laughed. Good sign. She's not going to be sold if we can help it. Linda was just as encouraging, though Ashleigh didn't get much time to see her friend except at school. Linda did come over one afternoon to plod along with Ashleigh and Wonder on their daily trek. This is work, Linda said when they got back to the barn. We just jogged 5 miles in the mud. I know, Ashleigh said. Fun, isn't it? Afterward, Ashleigh went to the house and sat down with her books. She was so exhausted. She wasn't taking good care of herself, and as she was Wonder, and it was catching up with her. She barely had the energy to put on her pajamas. Crawling into bed, her head fell onto the pillow, and she was out cold. The next morning, she woke up with a sore throat, watery eyes, and a stuffy nose. She hid her symptoms well, forcing herself through the school day. But she was shivering by the time she finished walking Wonder after school. Her mother noticed Ashleigh's flushed cheeks at dinner that night. Are you coming down with a cold, Ashleigh? She asked. Ashleigh wasn't about to let her mother know how rotten she really felt. Just the sniffles. Her mother put her hand to Ashleigh's forehead. You're burning up. Up to bed now. I'll bring you some fruit juice and aspirin. Mom, I'm okay. Really. But Ashleigh's protests were weak. All she wanted to do was curl up in bed. She felt so cold. By morning I'll be better, she thought. But she wasn't. Her fever raged. Her mother wouldn't let her out of bed. But Wonder, Ashleigh protests. We'll keep an eye on Wonder. You just rest. Ashleigh agonized after her mother had left. How could she get sick now? It was the worst possible time. Every day was important. Soon Mr. Townsend would be coming to look at Wonder again. But even Ashleigh had to admit she felt too sick to get out of bed. She dozed off into a fitful dream. Ashleigh? Ashleigh dimly heard her name being called and opened her eyes. Caroline was standing beside her bed with a tray. "I brought you some soup," Caroline said. "I thought you might be hungry. Mom said you've been sleeping all day." Ashleigh pushed up on her elbows, and Caroline fluffed the pillow behind her, then put the tray on Ashleigh's lap. "How are you feeling?" Caroline asked. "Not so hot," Ashleigh managed to croak. Her voice sounded so strange. Ashleigh didn't feel hungry either, but she reached for the spoon. Caroline sat with her while she tried to eat. "Linda called," Caroline said. "She wondered why you weren't in school and said she hoped you felt better." "Tell her I said hi," Ashlyn said. Ashlyn had finished half the soup, but couldn't get another drop down her throat. She put the spoon down. "Do you want anything else?" Caroline asked. Ashleigh shook her head. She couldn't believe her sister was being so nice. "How's Wonder?" "Okay, I guess. Mom and Dad are feeding her and stuff. They haven't come in for dinner yet." Ashleigh leaned back against the pillows. Why did she have to feel so awful? Caroline picked up the tray. "I'll see you later," she said. Ashleigh dozed off again. She didn't remember much about the next 2 days, except for her mother or father or Caroline coming by with medicine or food. But when she woke up the third day, she didn't feel as shivery and achy. Her mother came in with some juice. Ashlyn looked at the clock on the nightstand. It was 9. Caroline had already gone to school. "Hi, Mom," Ashleigh said. "It looks like you feel a little better." Her mother smiled, handing her the juice, then went through her usual motherly routine, feeling Ashleigh's head, asking if her throat hurt. "I think the worst is over," she said. "A few more days in bed." "Days!" Ashleigh exclaimed. "We'll see. You just rest now." Ashleigh tried. She napped for a while, then read her horse magazines. She forced herself to eat all the lunch her mother brought. Just after lunch, Ashleigh looked up from her reading to see Charlie Brooke standing in her bedroom doorway with his hat in his hands. "Hi, Charlie," she exclaimed. "You're here? How come you're here?" "I heard you haven't been feeling too good," he said as he came into the room and sat in the chair near Ashleigh's bed. "Much better today," she said. Then she had a horrible thought. She bolted up. "Right. Something's wrong with Wonder." "No, the filly's just fine. I thought you might be worrying, though." "I have been worrying. She hasn't had her walks, and it won't be long before Mr. Townsend comes to see her." Charlie raised a hand. "Hold it right there. She's been getting her walks. If I wasn't so old and full of aches, I would have done it myself. But you had some helpers. Your mother and that friend of yours have been taking her out." "Linda? Mom? Why didn't anyone tell me?" Charlie laughed. "I don't think you were in much shape to hear, Missy. You've been pretty sick with the flu." Ashleigh sighed, then frowned. "I sort of remember hearing Linda talking to me, but I thought I was dreaming." "How does Wonder look, Charlie?" she asked eagerly. "Fit as a fiddle. I checked her over yesterday and measured her. She put on an inch or two at the shoulders in the last couple of months. A shade over 14 hands now. She'll be full grown before we know it. I don't think she'll be much more than 15 and a half hands. But I've known plenty of good racehorses that size." "You think the walking's doing her good? Do you think Mr. Townsend will change his mind?" "Well, I can't say what Townsend's going to do, but I'd be impressed with how she's come along. Don't you worry. Just get over this flu nonsense." "I'm going to," Ashleigh said with determination. Lying around in bed gave Ashleigh a lot of time to think. What if the worst did happen and Mr. Townsend decided to send Wonder to the auction? How much would someone pay for Wonder? Ashleigh had $1,500 in her savings account. It was supposed to be for college, but maybe her parents would make an emergency exception? When her father came to see how she was doing, she asked him what price Wonder might bring. "It's hard to tell for sure, Ashleigh. She's got good bloodlines. But some buyers might wonder why Townsend is putting one of Townsend Pride's fillies up for auction. I'd say she'd draw bids of $5,000 and up." "Oh," Ashleigh moaned. "That much?" Her hopes of buying Wonder herself had just been squashed flatter than a pancake, and she knew without asking that her parents didn't have that kind of extra money. "I know you're worried, Ashleigh, but worrying about it isn't going to help you get over this flu." "I know, Dad." That night she called Linda to thank her for helping with Wonder. "But it was fun, Ash. I like doing it, and Wonder's so neat. She really seems to understand what you're saying. She listens, and she tries so hard. I can't come over tomorrow, but I can come over the next day, and I'll get some makeup work from your teachers. See you then." After 2 more days in bed, Ashleigh had it with being an invalid. She didn't care what anyone said. She had to see Wonder for herself. After everyone left the house, she got dressed and went out to the barn. When her mother saw her, she rushed over. "What are you doing outside?" she scolded. "Are you sure you're feeling well enough?" "I feel great, like I've never been sick." "Miracles of youth," her mother said. "I know you want to see how Wonder's doing. Just take it easy. An hour with Wonder, then back in the house to rest. I'll walk her for you." "Thanks a lot for the helping out, Mom." Her mother dropped a kiss on Ashleigh's cheek. "You deserve it, and so does Wonder. We're a horse family, aren't we?" Wonder gave a joyous whinny when Ashleigh stepped into her stall. Ashleigh rushed over to the horse and threw her arms around Wonder's neck. "Did you miss me as much as I missed you? I'm so glad to see you again. I've been so worried, but you do look good. Charlie was right. Oh, Wonder, I don't know what I'll do if Mr. Townsend decides to sell you." The horse butted her head fondly against Ashleigh's shoulders. "I love you too," Ashleigh said. Ashleigh spent a blissful hour with the filly. She carefully groomed Wonder, amazed to realize that Wonder's shoulders were now higher than her own. Then she sat down on the straw and talked to the horse. Wonder loved every minute of the attention and kept lowering her head to blow soft, affectionate breaths on Ashleigh's cheek. Ashleigh sighed in contentment and fed Wonder more carrots than she should have. But when her mother came and told her to go up to the house, Ashleigh went willingly. She must have been sick if she felt this tired so fast. By the time Linda arrived, Ashleigh was already feeling bored hanging around her bedroom. Linda plopped down on the bed and pulled out the makeup assignments for Ashleigh. "Your math teacher says to tell you that you're doing a good job." "Did she?" Ashleigh was relieved, but she was thinking of Wonder. She just looked at the calendar and realized she only had a week left. "They're having tryouts for the spring play tomorrow," Linda added. "I've decided to go." "I'd be scared to death to get up in front of all those people," Ashleigh said. "I may too," Linda laughed, "but it might be fun." Before they started to work, Ashleigh told Linda how Charlie had measured Wonder and how much the filly had grown. "Charlie thinks Mr. Townsend will notice how much she's improved. I went out to the barn for a little while this morning. She does look good, but I'm scared, Linda. I only have a week left until Mr. Townsend is supposed to come and look at her." "You'll make it," Linda said. "Mr. Townsend will change his mind and keep her." Ashleigh only wished she felt so sure. Was it all going to be for nothing? Was she going to lose something she loved? Again?